You wake up in Palermo, where loyalty can be worth $500, silence can buy survival, and one quiet decision can change a life forever. This story follows Marco Russo, a nobody in 1998 Sicily, stepping into a world where envelopes carry $2,000, whispers control 20 neighborhoods, and respect spreads faster than truth. You will witness the climb from street runner to a man overseeing $250,000 in shadowed business across Palermo. But what does it really cost to rise through a system built on silence, loyalty, and patience? And the question that never stops echoing through every level of power is simple. How far would you go to belong? You grow up on a worn street in Palermo, learning early that silence travels faster than truth. And this is where your life quietly begins at level 1, associate. Your name is Marco Russo, a nobody with quick eyes and steady hands, drifting through Sicily in 1998, where small favors carry heavy meaning. At first, it is simple work, passing envelopes through cafes, delivering quiet messages across 3 neighborhoods without asking questions. The men who watch you never explain anything, yet every nod feels like a test worth more than $500 in a city where money moves in whispers. You notice how shop owners lower their voices when certain names are mentioned, and you wonder how much power can hide behind a handshake. Soon, you are collecting small payments from a handful of businesses along Via Maqueda, never threatening, just reminding people of arrangements everyone already understands. Some weeks the envelope holds $2,000, other weeks only $700. But the real currency is trust slowly building around Marco Russo. You begin to see patterns in how the crew operates across 5 blocks of Palermo, where loyalty matters more than noise. Nobody says the word mafia aloud, yet the silence around it grows heavier each day you keep showing up. One evening in November 1999, a senior man studies you for a long moment and asks, "How far are you willing to go to prove you belong?" And suddenly, you realize the next step will change everything. The night you step deeper into the organization feels strangely quiet across Palermo, and before you fully understand the weight of it, your path shifts into level 2, soldier. Your name, Marco Russo, is spoken differently now in 2000. No longer just a runner drifting through Sicily, but someone officially trusted within the circle. The ceremony itself is brief and almost ordinary, held inside a dim room above a cafe near Via Roma, where a handful of men watch carefully and remind you that loyalty outlives ambition. No one talks about glory, only discipline, patience, and the quiet rule that everything you do reflects on the family across 4 districts of Palermo. Soon you are given responsibility over several operations that move small streams of cash through local businesses, sometimes $3,000 in a week, sometimes $8,000. Never enough to attract attention, yet always enough to matter. You spend long evenings walking familiar streets while thinking about the strange truth of power growing through routine, not drama. Shop owners now greet Marco Russo with careful respect, and you realize the role carries more expectation than reward. The older soldiers remind you that reputation travels faster than money in Sicily, and that one careless decision can erase years of quiet work. Occasionally, you attend meetings where capos discuss territory across 7 neighborhoods, speaking in calm voices that hide complicated strategies. Each conversation leaves you wondering how high someone like Marco Russo can actually climb in a world built on patience and silence. Then one night in March 2003, after a tense meeting about expanding influence beyond Palermo, a powerful capo studies you closely and suggests there may soon be room for someone new to lead a crew. Years of quiet loyalty and careful decisions slowly reshape your reputation across Palermo, and before long, the door opens to a new reality called Level 3, Caporegime. By 2006, the name Marco Russo no longer drifts through the streets unnoticed, because now you oversee a small crew operating across 6 neighborhoods in Sicily. Your days are less about running errands and more about listening, weighing risks, and making sure the money flows smoothly without attracting attention. Each week, reports land on your table from 12 associates and 4 soldiers, describing small businesses, logistics routes, and modest profits that sometimes reach $15,000. across several quiet operations. You learn quickly that leadership in this world means calm voices and measured choices rather than loud displays of authority. Shop owners greet Marco Russo with cautious respect, and younger associates watch how you speak because every decision signals stability or danger. Meetings with other capos happen inside backrooms near Via Libertà, where discussions about territory across 10 blocks unfold with the slow rhythm of chess moves. Sometimes you catch yourself thinking about the strange distance between the young errand runner of 1,998 and the man now responsible for so many moving pieces. Still, the pressure never fades, because influence attracts attention from rivals and quiet investigations by authorities across Palermo. One late evening in September 2007, during a strategy meeting involving 3 capos and a trusted advisor, someone asks a question that lingers in the air like smoke. Could Marco Russo handle decisions at the highest level if the leadership ever changed? The room falls silent, and in that moment, you realize the next step upward will demand far more than control over a few streets. Power begins to close in around you across Palermo, and after years of calculated patience, the quiet promotion arrives, pulling your life into level 4, underboss. By 2012, the name Marco Russo carries weight across Sicily, not because you chase attention, but because every decision now moves through you before it reaches the streets. The old boss trusts you to coordinate operations stretching across 15 neighborhoods, where small businesses, logistics routes, and financial channels quietly generate nearly $120,000 in monthly activity. You spend more time in private offices than on the sidewalks of Via Maqueda, reviewing reports from 9 capos who manage crews scattered across Palermo. Every meeting feels colder now, less about opportunity and more about stability in a world where one mistake could ripple through the entire structure. The consigliere often studies Marco Russo during strategy discussions, reminding everyone that leadership survives through patience rather than ego. Some nights you sit alone overlooking the lights of Sicily, wondering how much control one person can truly hold before the system begins to close around him. The younger soldiers treat your words like quiet law, yet you know influence at this level also draws silent attention from investigators, watching movements across Italy. Reports begin mentioning discreet inquiries into businesses connected to 3 major districts, nothing dramatic, but enough to remind you the walls are always listening. Still, the organization grows more complex, expanding partnerships and financial routes that now stretch beyond Palermo itself. Then, in April 2014, after a long private conversation involving the aging boss and the consigliere, a single statement shifts the air in the room. If leadership changes tomorrow, Marco Russo may be the only one prepared to take the chair. The final shift arrives quietly across Palermo, and with a single decision, your life crosses into level 5, boss. In 2015, after the aging leader steps away from power, the name Marco Russo rises to the top of a structure that spans much of Sicily. Nothing about the moment feels dramatic, because authority at this level moves through calm meetings rather than celebration. Reports now arrive daily from 12 capos, managing operations across 20 neighborhoods, and together they oversee financial flows that sometimes reach $250,000 each month. You spend long hours inside a private office overlooking Via Libertà, studying patterns, listening to advisors, and making sure the system remains quiet and controlled. The older members treat Marco Russo with careful respect, yet you notice how leadership also creates distance between you and everyone else in Palermo. Decisions that once seemed simple now carry consequences across Sicily, and every conversation feels like a move in a slow, strategic game. Occasionally, you remember the young runner walking these same streets in 1998, wondering how a few envelopes and $500 errands led to a seat at the very top. The truth becomes clear as the years pass that power here is not loud but heavy, pressing down with constant expectation. Investigators continue watching business networks across Italy, while rival groups quietly measure the strength of your leadership. One evening in 2018, while reviewing reports from 20 districts, a thought settles in your mind like cold air. How long can Marco Russo remain untouchable before the system that built him begins to close in? The answer is never spoken, and that uncertainty becomes the final shadow hanging over your empire. By the end of this journey, Marco Russo stands at the top of a network stretching across Sicily, controlling influence across 20 districts and overseeing nearly $250,000, moving quietly each month. Yet power in Palermo never comes with certainty, only pressure and patience. The same streets that shaped you in 1998 now watch every move you make. Every decision echoes through the system that built your name. The final truth becomes impossible to ignore. Authority can elevate a person, but it also traps them inside the structure they command. So one final question remains, for anyone watching this story unfold. Would you climb this far knowing the cost?